Hi there, welcome to my video where I am going to be sharing my top tips for health coaches and wellness biz bosses in using Pinterest to attract new traffic to their website and new customers and clients. My name's Laura Agar Wilson. I run a website called Wholeheartedly Healthy. I've been blogging since 2010 and I set up my health coaching practice in around about 2012, 2013 when I really got things going. And I was quite an early adopter of Pinterest. I think I started using it about a year after it kind of was in like its better kind of testing phase. And I just believe that nowadays it's one of the very, very best ways for you to be able to get new traffic to your website, to be able to grow your email list, and ultimately get more clients and customers, particularly as a health coach. So the first thing that I want to touch on with Pinterest is that Pinterest is often, this is my account, Pinterest is often thought of as a social media network, but it's actually not. Pinterest is more like Google than it is like Twitter or Facebook, for example. Pinterest is actually a search engine. It's where people kind of come to find information. Although we've got the lovely, we've got the really nice like stream of information. Lots and lots of stuff. Actually, when I look at this, you kind of realize how overwhelming Pinterest can be when you just start scrolling all this stuff. But it's actually a search engine. So when you start thinking about it in that way, it really starts to help you think about how you might be able to use Pinterest. And one of the reasons why I really love it is because, unlike Google, which is very, very hard to get your blog post to be seen on Google unless you've got like killer SEO, and there's a lot of things that would go into having killer SEO. It's a little bit easier, I think, to get some more eyes on your site via Pinterest. So today I'm going to talk about my top tips basically for setting up your Pinterest account so that you can really start to use it to benefit your business. Like I say, I've been on Pinterest quite a while. I've got nearly 100,000 followers, and although following actually doesn't mean that much, as I'll come on to explaining, it's a nice number for my ego to look at, but it's actually not that. It doesn't actually mean that much when it comes in terms of your things getting seen. So the ultimate aim with Pinterest is to actually get your blog posts or pins, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment, into the Pinterest smart feed. So what Pinterest does for its users, just like any other sort, and this is where one aspect that is similar to social media, is that it looks at users' behaviour and it selects blog posts that they think that they are going to like. So it's all about the user experience, and it really starts to select. So, for example, I pin a lot of self-love and self-care pins, so I get a lot of these things coming up, and this stuff comes out via something called the smart feed. So your goal is really to start getting your blog posts or otherwise, and I'll talk about the otherwise, onto the Pinterest smart feed. So just to kind of go back to my Pinterest account. So the very first thing that you want to do is obviously set up a Pinterest account, and then you want to make sure that you've got it registered as a business account. So you would go to business.pinterest.com and register your account as a business account. What that does is it allows you to get analytics, and it also means that you can get your account verified and extra information. You get something called rich pins, which means that there's extra information on your pins that show up on Pinterest. So you can see this is some of the analytics that I've had for my site. And it is the number one referral of traffic to my website, and I've gained at least 2,000 to 3,000 subscribers on my email list through Pinterest. And again, there's some very strategic ways that you can use it for that reason, and I'll just show you one of the posts that's worked on. I'm just going to select this and get that ready for later, because I will show you that post and how that's worked with that one. So yeah, so you want to get set up with a business account. The next thing that you want to do is to go to your website and make sure that you can install I think it's called a pin it button. So can you see here when I hover over, you get this big kind of Pinterest logo, just like that, which is going to basically help people pin your content. So if someone does come along onto your website, it's so that they can pin, easier for them to pin your content. So that's the second stage. So number one, get your account registered as a business account, and number two is to make sure that you've got this kind of functionality on your site. If you've got Squarespace or WordPress, that shouldn't be too difficult. It should be a case of downloading a plugin that helps you do it. Also, I mean, to be fair, a lot of people use Google Chrome nowadays. This is what I'm on, and it usually comes up. I mean, it's not necessarily coming on this one, because I think because I've got that image, but generally it comes up, so that you know, there's like there it is. That's a little save button comes up so people can do it. But it is a good idea to have that on, and plus it looks really cool to have that on, and just nice and easy for people to see. So once you have that set up, it's starting to think about how to use it really strategically. So go back to my account. And so basically when I first started using Pinterest, and I mean, I'm like such a Pinterest geek, I love it, I'm on it every single day, and I use it in so many different ways. I could probably just write a blog post all about how I use Pinterest personally, but I had lots of different boards. So Pinterest boards are basically groups of pins around a similar theme. So you can see I've got self-care, fitness inspiration for busy people, I think those are busy women, self-love and body positivity, I've got hygge, health and wellbeing hacks, green smoothies. So I've got quite a few different boards. And what I had at the start was I had like a board for my son and the things I was buying for my son. And you can see some of these things. I had just lovely travel boards and makeup and hair and beauty and stuff, which is all great. But what I did was I made those secret. So I actually took them off my main feed. And the reason that I did that was because it's really useful to have a group of boards that are quite branded. And when I say branded, I mean that are kind of linked into what you do as a coach. So for example, I'm a women's wellbeing coach, and the thing that I really enjoy talking about a lot on my blog is self-care, mindset, healthy living, all that kind of thing. And I've tried to create boards which reflect that. I've actually got my healthy pancake recipes one that's still hanging around from Pancake Day, so like move that down from Show Tuesday. It's a bit late now. So it's really useful if you actually start to set up your boards like this. Another way to think of it is, what kind of information are you going to be sharing on your blog? I mean, and I say blog, it's really, really good idea to have a blog on your website as a way of getting people to come over to your site. So it's thinking about what kind of topics are you going to be talking about. So that was something that I did. I kind of tried to think about, all the different kind of recipes I might share, all of the different kind of topics I might discuss on my blog, and make sure that I had a blog a board on Pinterest where I could pin that information. The second thing you want to think about is just to make sure that the boards are actually quite unique. So, I mean, to be honest, self-care is actually a little bit vague. I could probably narrow that down a little bit. But for example, I haven't just got a bullet journaling board. I've got a bullet journaling for health and wellbeing board. I haven't just got a healthy recipes board, although I do have one somewhere that I haven't managed to change everything over. I have a healthy pancake recipe board. So if you narrow it down a little bit, it just makes it a little bit more searchable. And this is all search engine optimization really that we're doing for Pinterest. The next thing you want to be aware of is the board description, and just to make sure that you're using lots of the right words in that description. So I'll come on to a little bit where we start to kind of look at another part of being strategic, but just having a really detailed, I mean, that again, I probably haven't chosen my best board description, but the more detailed that your description is, the better. As long, if you think about all the words that people might use to search for the topics that you're going to be talking about, and including them there is a really, really good move. I'll see if I've got a better example. I don't even know if this one's very much better. No, I need to improve my descriptions. But yeah, to be honest, I mean, a few sentences is fine, but the more in depth and the more useful words that you use, the better, basically. So, and you also want to choose, you see these kind of big images, these are like board covers. So what Pinterest tends to like is board covers that aren't, that don't have text in. So I think sometimes it's appropriate, like I've got a words to live by, which is all quotes, and I think that's quite appropriate for that one. But generally, the kind of ones where you know, for example, I mean, like this one's probably not the best one. I could probably change it. I think it used to be the way that they used to shape it was more of a landscape image, and now they've changed it to square. So I think that text wouldn't have been in before. So it's good to use, you know, nice, big, brightly coloured images for your board covers, basically. I might see if I can change this one as an example if I've got enough good ones in. And this is the edit. Board cover, and this is where you would change the cover, and you can kind of flick through. That's quite a nice one. Use that one and save that, for example. So that's how you would kind of set up some of your boards. The next thing that you can think about doing is actually just kind of refining things by looking at how people search. So a really easy thing, you can see the things that have been altars, beach cabin. You can see some of the things I've been searching, but hey, is to start typing in something and then see what it kind of fills in. So you've got self-care, self-confidence quotes, self-care quotes, self-care ideas. You start to get to see what people might be, what kind of things people might be searching for. So self-care ideas, mental health, self-care ideas, things to do. You can start to really create some really, really good blog post ideas to hit some of those things, because ultimately if you're kind of like covering, so for example, if you did a blog post which was self-care ideas or self-care activities with the title, then it might come up in that feed for that. So that's a really useful little thing to do, is just to start, you know, for example, see what I can come up with. Healthy recipes, avocado chicken, avocado clean eating. You know, you start to kind of narrow it down a little bit and see what people might be searching for. So that can be quite a helpful little tip as well. The next thing you want to think about is when you are writing blog posts, again, it's really, really good practice to have the kind of the words that people might be searching for in the title and throughout the actual article, because Pinterest can scan that and pull that up. But it's also really, really key to have a really good image. You know, Pinterest is a visual search engine, so if your images are crap, they're just not going to do very well. Pinterest tends to, I'll see if I can find one of my boards, some of my old, let's have a look, I should be finding something on this. So you can see, I mean, just in this example, you can see a lot of these have the text over, so it's really, really easy. I mean, that's a really, really good one. It's quite a light image with black text over. People tend to go for lighter looking images. That's a fantastic image. This one here is a really, really good one as well. That's the kind of thing that you want to be going for. If you don't have the equipment like Photoshop or whatever to do that, you can check out canva.com. Or you could also look at picmonkey.com, and that should help you create these kind of images. See if I can find one of mine somewhere. There we are, that's one of mine. So light image, like light background, nice clear text on it. And it's also really, really important that you go for this portrait like picture aspect, because again, it's the way that Pinterest is designed that this is going to make your image stand out so much better in the feed if it's a long image rather than something that's square. Or you see, for example, this one here, it just kind of you kind of miss it, don't you, when it's in the feed, which is a shame, because it's actually a really good article that I want to pin, but it's kind of got the wrong aspect in and that blog didn't have that version, like a portrait style version. So that's just some of the things that you want to be aware of when kind of creating that. The next thing I want to talk about is how you actually start to get people to become the clients and the customers, and how you actually make that jump from someone finding your post on Pinterest to actually becoming a subscriber to your email list. So first of all, you have to have an email list set up. That'll be the first thing. If you're not sure how to do that, I do have some information in one of my free guides, which is Be Ready Now, and I'll put a link to that in the blog post that I've got that accompanies this video. But you won't have an email list set up. I use something called ConvertKit, which is a paid for service but is absolutely brilliant for this kind of thing. It was really set up for this kind of thing. So this post here is the most popular post that I've got on my blog ever. It's how to practice self-care like a boss, and I've offered free worksheet with 50 ways to do self-care. So you've got the nice image, you've got the content. I actually put an extra little bonus thing in, which is just something I did. And then what we've got is lots of tips, a few good links and stuff kind of popped in, a link to another post there about self-care, just so that you're kind of starting to put that up. But the most important thing is that I've got something called a content upgrade. So what it is I've got a free guide that people can get if they pop their email, the name and the email address down. And it's really, really handy, because what it means is that if people really like this post and they want to get a little bit more from me around self-care, then they can opt into that. They can get a really beautiful free guide, and I get their email address on my list, which means I can build a relationship with them, hopefully eventually turn them into a customer. I mean, I've actually got something called a sales funnel on this, which means that when people do give me their details, I offer them an extra guide, which is a more detailed guide for a really, really low price when they first opt in. So I've got something that offers them something a bit extra, but it also gives me something back in terms of a little bit of income if they choose to take that step and to become a customer. So content upgrades are really, really good idea. And like I say, I've got the system set up to do this with ConvertKit. It's a little bit, depending on where you are on your journey, it might be a little bit advanced, but it's never too soon really to start looking at this stuff, as far as I'm concerned. The sooner the better is to start getting your head around this, because it can make a massive, massive difference. And actually, I believe that really using something like Pinterest can massively fast forward your success in terms of your business by growing your list. And this costs nothing apart from the program that you'll need to run your emails. It doesn't cost anything to have a business account with Pinterest, unlike Facebook advertising, for example. So that's kind of in a nutshell. I'm going to run back over those tips. So just very, very briefly, what you'll want to do is set up an account with Pinterest. You go to pinterest.com, and from there you would want to create a business account as well. So make sure that your account is a business account, which means that you would, and also make sure that you've got rich pins. So this is a rich pin here. Can you see how the title stands out, a nice big chunky bold writing, and this one doesn't? That's the difference between a rich pin and a not rich pin. So it just makes things stand out a little bit more. From there, you would want to really think about your business, who your ideal clients are, what things they might be searching for, what kind of information you want to share on your website, and create boards which are going to actually house those blog posts, so along the themes of the things that you're going to share, just like I've got on mine. And then from there, you want to go and actually, I've missed out a really important point, that you want to be pinning other people's content. So it's a good idea to go away and follow people and start to search for content to fill your boards up, because if you're just putting your own content on there, Pinterest won't pick it up in the smart feed. It wants to see other people's content. They want to know that you're a good active pinner, and that you're pinning good quality stuff, not just your own. So you also want to be putting in some other pins, and feel free to come and follow me and stalk my boards if you want. That's no problem, guys. You can pin some of my stuff, whether it's my content or other people's content. And it's not, I really like the fact that it's not about competition. By pinning someone else's content, it doesn't mean that you're giving them your business or anything. It actually strengthens your position, just as much as it's a nice thing to do for them as to pin their content. So it's a really, really good idea to start doing that as well. And also pick a nice board image as well that works well for that aspect. And like I say, it has changed to square, which I think is why some of mine don't show up too well. You also want to make sure that on your blog that you are putting on a lovely portrait style image, preferably with a light background with some dark text that describes what it is that you're doing. Also, if you happen to do recipes, a really good trick is to have a long form recipe image, which I've got here. You can kind of set it up, and I need to figure out how to set it up so that people don't have to scroll through this massive image, and it can actually just be little and only shows up when they pin. But it's nice to have like an extra long image. Those can work really, really well. And from there, it's just about making sure that you've got good descriptions, that you've been really descriptive with everything that you are sharing. If you're pinning a new piece of content, you want to make sure that you put in the description in, and it's really, so just to give you a quick example, I will pin this image. And rather than just that description there, I might put courgette lime pistachio loaf cake made with quark, cream cheese, healthy, gluten-free option. So what you might find is that might, if someone searches for courgette cake, it might come up. If someone searches for quark recipes, it might come up. If someone searches for gluten-free recipes, it might come up. Does that kind of make sense to everybody? And then I'm going to, let's see some of the ones that I've got. I might put this in, let's have a look. I've got some boards set up that I haven't actually put live yet. Healthy, I just put it in healthy living recipes. Put in that one. So you can kind of just start, and again, it's fine to pin the same pin to multiple boards as well. So yeah, so from there, the final tip I'd give is to possibly look out for group boards. So group boards are ones where you have several people who are pinning to them, and you can decide to set those up with people if you want. So for example, I've got like do it yourself today is like a massive there's like 3,500 people who can pin to that board. It's actually a really, really good place, but good boards have got like a lot of followers. I mean, you see there how many followers that board's got, so it's a really, really good way to get more people on. Sometimes the trick is actually finding the group boards and finding the person who manages it, and getting those on. So having a look for group boards can be really good, or creating your own group boards can be really helpful as well, because that kind of shares the love between you and other people as well. So you can see just a few of them that I'm in. There's quite a few different group boards, and I pull them all down to like the bottom part of my my page, just to keep them out of the way, just to keep things looking a little bit tidier. So yeah, so I think that might be all of my tips for Pinterest. I will have the steps written out to accompany this video, because I do realise I've kind of gone backwards and forwards a little bit. But like I say, I do think there is a little bit of trial and error. Sometimes it is really just the look of the draw, and you can get someone who has a massive following pin your pin and it just goes viral. But that's kind of the amazing thing of it, and that doesn't really happen with Google, and I just think you've got so much more chance of it happening. I also think that the people who tend to, Pinterest is really, really good if your ideal clients are women. I think the vast majority of people who use Pinterest are women, and I think that it's a real growing platform. And if you have like a really visual brand, if you have beautiful images, if you want to work with women, it can just be a fantastic platform for you to figure out and really get to know, and a fantastic way to get your content out in front of people. Do come and follow me if you want. I'm Laura Agar Wilson on Pinterest. You can come and give me a follow and see the kind of things that I'm pinning and whatnot. But I do hope that's been helpful. And again, if you want any support, you can come over to lauraagarwilson.com and find other posts about building your health coaching practice or wellness biz. And I will see you again soon. Bye.